In the name of Allah, the most gracious, ever merciful. Hello there, hope you are doing well. Today, inshallah, we will go on discussing the different types of literary criticism. Okay? I hope that the sound on the picture is okay and no problem with the sound or with the picture. So, this lecture, as I told you, we are supposed to go through the different types of literary criticism as we said yesterday. We shall go on discussing the different types of literary criticism as well as some of critical terms and literary movements. So, as you see, inshallah, this lecture we will have different types of literary criticism. Also, we have the phases of literary criticism, the chronological stages of literary criticism, the initial stages of literary criticism since its emergence, and later on how it goes along history up till this moment. That's what I mean by the phases of literary criticism. Some critical and literary terms and movements, and finally suggested questions for examinations. Okay, let's go. So, legislative criticism. What's meant by legislative criticism? Of course, legislative criticism, it comes first in the matter of the history. So, it's known to be the earliest type of literary criticism known, and it is mainly be concerned with setting down rules, canons, formulae for the writer or the poet to show him how to write or how to write better. Of course, this type dominated the 16th century and died in the 17th century. However, this type is occasionally being used nowadays in a handful of books in the academic departments for teaching students the composition or the creative writing, particularly in the academic faculties of America. So this is what's meant by legislative criticism. So, as you know, legislative criticism from legislation or legislators, something like lawmakers, and that's why they are supposed to teach the writer or the poet how to write or how to write better. Next, judicial criticism. Judicial criticism actually comes next in the time for legislative criticism. And from its name, it seeks to pronounce judgment on a work of literature. And such judgment is basically based upon certain rules, of course. These rules are often derived from the Greek and Latin, and they are often wrongly derived. So, if they are wrongly derived, they are not supposed to give the correct judgment or the right judgment upon a given piece of literature. The most exponent for this type of literary criticism was Dr. Johnson. He regarded as the typical example for such criticism. And he was well known for his dogmatic criticism, and he used to approach a literary work in a sort of hanging judge and such magisterial way of judging a piece of literature. And of course, this makes it unreliable type of literary criticism for its dogmatic and non-objective methodology. The next type of literary criticism, theoretical criticism. In this type of criticism, the writer actually is not mainly concerned with a specific literary work. What does it mean? The writer here, or the critic here, is studying the process of creation rather than a given short story or a given drama or a given novel. He is mainly concerned with what makes this piece of work or this work of literature as an artistic piece. It's an artistic work. So he mainly concerned with the principles of artistic purity. And in this way, literary theory created. So what's meant here is how to reach to the rules and the principles by means of which I could create a theory. So a given literary work is not mainly concerned for itself, but for how it shape a form and how it is following a principle, rules, formulae, canons, in that way that enable me to create a theory of literary work. Philip Sidney, in his An Apology for Poetry, starting such school of criticism. And John Dryden later contributed to it significantly. Also, Samuel Coleridge, in his Biographia Literaria, put a full stop to this type of literary criticism. This theoretical criticism has come from this type of literary criticism. The next type of literary criticism is evaluative literary criticism. Evaluative literary criticism. What's the meaning of evaluative literary criticism? From its title, this is derived from evaluation. What's the meaning of evaluation? To put a value for something, to make assessment of something. And of course, it's meant